Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture we are going to learn how to accept the user input in Python. So up till now we have already written a program to do some things, but we have not actually written some code to accept input from user, and in this lecture we are exactly going to learn that. And also we are going to learn about the new line, which is how to print a sentence in a new line in Python. So even before doing that, let's go ahead and learn how to actually accept input in Python. So in order to accept input in Python, what you could simply do is that you could type in input, which is nothing but a function which allows you to accept some number or some sentence or some string from the user. So after this, as this is a function, you need to have the opening and closing brackets. And in this brackets, in single quotes, you actually need to type in some text which gets displayed to the user. So let's say here you want to type something like uh, please enter a value. So what this thing does is that it is actually going to ask the user for a particular value, and this text right here is actually going to get displayed to the user. So you could modify this text according to your need, but just for the sake of example, I have taken this thing, and the input function is actually used to accept input from the user. So if you execute this thing, as you could see, it is asking you to enter a value. So I'm going to type in some value like some random number like 102 or let's say 103, and if I hit enter, as you could see, the value is displayed right here. So whatever value we enter, it is going to get displayed right over here. Now let me just enter the value again, and this time instead of putting in the integer value, let me put a string value. So let me just type in my name here, and when I hit enter, as you could see, I got the value as my name. Now what we actually need to do is that we actually need to take this value and store it into something which is called as a variable, but we will not be learning variables right now because we actually need to study variables in much more depth. So we will not be doing this in this tutorial, but we will learn that in the upcoming tutorial. Now after this, let me give you a brief overview of how to print a sentence on a new line in Python. So let's say we want to print in some sentence, so we type in print, and in quotations we type in something like hello Mike, and let's type in welcome to the club. So if you hit enter, as you could see, the entire sentence gets printed on a single line. Now what if you actually want to print these two things, that is hello Mike on one line and welcome to the club on the other line? So in that case, what you could do is that you could use something which is called as a /n, which stands for a new line. So you simply need to use a backslash and then type in n. So what this thing actually does is that it prints out this thing on the first line, then it is going to jump onto a new line, and then it is going to print out the second line. So if we execute this code, as you could see, hello Mike is on the first line, welcome to the club is on the second line, and we have this space right here because we left this space right here. So if we go back and remove the space and execute the code again, as you could see, now we have these two things on separate lines. Now you could also print as many number of lines as you want. So let's say you want one more line right here, so you could simply give a /n right after the existing line, and you could type in something new like we are glad to have you here. So if you hit enter, as you could see, this time we have everything on a new line, that is hello Mike on the first line, welcome to the club on the second line, and finally we are glad to have you here on the third line. So that is how you could use the /n to basically print out multiple things on separate lines. So that's it for this lecture, and I hope you guys understood two things from this lecture. So the very first thing is how to accept the input from the user, and remember, we have only learned how to accept the input, but we have not actually learned how to save the input, and that thing is quite simple. It won't take much time, but it was just to make you guys understand the significance of the input function and how input function can be used to actually grab the value from the user And also we have learned about the new line. So if you already learned some languages like C, C++, you must already be knowing this thing, but this was for the guys who were unaware of this. So that's it for this lecture, and I'll see you guys in the next lecture. Thank you.